So one of the things you notice when you travel is just how much of economics and trade in the past and also today involves copying someone else. And so you've got this phone booth behind me, and it's obviously British, but look closer and you'll see that it's actually Thai. So when you think about trade agreements and the security agreements that underline, like NATO and everything else, that underline those trade agreements, you have to just understand that you're dealing with essentially the protection of a more developed market's products into a, at the time, less developed market's products or market. And so overall, right, that's what trade is. And the question is, when you're dealing with tangible things, it's obviously easy to see, hey, there's no phone box outside. Now there's a phone box. This relationship is going places. And not only that, but you can develop based on that, or even a Pepsi, right? You can develop on top of that and go on to the next level. So once you've conquered essentially the tangible space, that allows you influence with politicians and everyone else. You've then developed digital technologies and so on and so forth. So you have to understand though, when you move from the tangible to the digital, does it really benefit both sides? What are the security implications and the surveillance implications of moving from an analog system into a digital system? And what's the cost-benefit analysis? These are things that nobody teaches you in school, but when you travel all over the world, you'll see, hopefully, that this is what fundamentally determines relationships between countries and also between people. Because once you put in a phone booth, that makes it easier to get to know each other because you're on the same system. And you can then extrapolate that into easier passport requirements and so on and so forth. So ultimately, you got to look at everything like a stack. Underneath is going to be the security implications, security protection, which people are supposed to pay some percentage of their budget into for the benefit of everyone else. Then you have to actually have useful products. And what's happening now is some countries have better products than others. When it comes to food, it's really simple. Mexico will have better avocados than Indonesia, and so on and so forth. And once you start getting into technology, though, it's a little bit more difficult. And that's what we're struggling with today, is all of these sorts of stacks from the security into the trade that don't necessarily, because now we've moved on to the digital, the invisible, don't necessarily create cultural opportunities. You can't take a picture of a chip, of a semiconductor chip. So, it's harder to get that emotional attachment, which makes it easier, sort of, lubricates trade relations and cultural exchanges. So a lot of that stuff is happening still at the university level, but obviously, because it's only happening, or for the most part, mainly happening at the diplomatic and university level, you're dealing with essentially an elite system that's becoming more and more disconnected to just an ordinary person that's going to be going out and seeing a box out there that's useful to him or her.